Alright. First walleye of the season. Nice little 14-incher on a bunny bucktail jig, maybe 15. Yeah, probably 15-incher. That's a legal one. 15, 16. Real silver one. Open night walleye, fishing at the Spillway. Jigging. And next cast, another fish. I got the hot color already. This is looking good. Still a brown black with a cream bunny strip. Bucktail jig, silver head. Another nice one. Quality keeper walleye. Last one was 16.5. This one's probably 16. Awesome. There's one. Alright. Right near shore. That's a nice one. I had one cut me off. I don't know if it was a walleye. And then had two pop the hook. Hard to keep a hook in them. And then had one short strike on top of that on the bunny buck. He just hit the tail part of it, the rabbit strip. It's a good solid 18-incher, 18.5. Nicer fish. There's one. Switched over to a similar jig. I figured one would pick it up right away. Probably one of the ones I touched earlier, just barely lip hooked. This guy's fighting a little better. Probably the same size though. Or maybe it's a smallie. It is a smallie. Cool. Yeah, switched over to a chartreuse head, cream and brown bunny bucktail jig. 15.5, 16-inch smallmouth. Awesome. Just a little bit different, but sometimes that makes all the difference. You just fine-tune the presentation. You know, change it up a little bit when it slows down. Just a little. Had a feeling that would work. Switched over to a swimbait jig. Still just fine-tuning, but instead of the color, same color, cream with a dark strip on the back, I switched the style from a bunny bucktail jig to the, to the swimbait jig. Just small changes make a big difference when things start to go dead. It's another keeper, 17-incher, 17.5. Looks like I got last walleye I need for a limit. Some are struggling, but this was a pretty easy limit for me if I land this fish. Real fast limit. You know, it's all about patterning the fish. That looks like a keeper. Awesome. I knew they were hitting browns right away, and once they stopped hitting that brown and cream bunny bucktail jig, I knew all I had to do was just switch style and color just a little bit, one at a time, and try some different jigs. That's why I switched to the swimbait jig. I switched to that slightly different color bunny bucktail jig, and it worked out great. You get the remnant fish that weren't hitting exactly the same thing, but they were still feeding. You know, the ones that are just on a little bit of an off pattern. And usually if you just make these little changes, they'll hit it right away. And it worked great. That's my limit right there. Another 17-incher. Awesome. Just picked up a shy one again on the swimbait jig. Still same color, green back and cream body. Smaller walleye. Yeah, it's just a baby 14-incher. Let them go because they just limited out. I packed these guys in ice last night and then took a nap in the car till morning. I'm about to go hike the river for more pike and walleye just for fun. See what I can catch, but I thought I'd show you them first. A couple 16.5s, a couple 17.5s, and an 18.5. A bunch of decent eaters. Alright, first cast, got a walleye. Hitting some smaller pools on this river. Got caught in some junk. Shoot. I'm gonna try and pick up some walleye and pike. See what happens, maybe some bass, I don't know. But shit, I got them hooked on the gill plate. That keeps happening in this pool. It's like they're swiping at it, but they're missing. I'm just gonna fish for fun all day, jig, and maybe run some other lures. We'll see what happens. Oh, this bank pool's tough. Get down in there, but you know, another 17-incher. Good deal. Wow. I missed my cast by a little bit on the backhand and a pike grabbed it instantly. That is crazy. And I'm in the trees. Shoot. That's so funny. He hit it right when I touched the water. First cast. Oh, that's a decent one. Looks like I got him by the edge of the lip. Nice. Good deal. I'm not keeping any pike today. I'm just going to keep that one walleye limit, share it with my friend. I missed that cast so bad. That's so funny. Whatever, it worked, I guess. Should I grab him or? I should grab him. Screw it. Nice. That worked out really well. Nice little pike. I don't know, 25-incher maybe. Skinny. Kind of brown and yellow. Just right next to me, right here. They stack up. Yep, there's one. Oh, it's a nice bass. Awesome. I saw him follow that up. I got my polarized sunglasses on. Nice solid smallmouth. That's what I'm talking about. Doesn't look, it's definitely not huge, but it's a good one. Decent. Man. Usually do a lot better here with the smaller bucktails, like a 16th ounce with a slower fall rate. I'm going to try that in a moment, but just working a quick falling 1/8 ounce for the time being. Right on that current break there, all sorts of fish stack up. It doesn't look like much, it's just it's right next to me, about 10 feet out. But it's significant. Fish really do stack up there. You know, you can see the seams are going at different speeds. That's a big deal. That's perfect fish current structure. Moved down here for a while. There was guys here earlier, that's why I didn't hit this first, but I've been jigging it forever. And I don't know, maybe those guys picked out the couple aggressive fish, or maybe there weren't any in the first place. Finally I switched to a crocodile spoon and started burning it. Looks like a bass picked it up. Yep, little smallie. Well, that smallie is probably like 16.5. This one's a little smaller. It's cool, they're warming up, they're getting aggressive. This one's like a... yeah, like a maybe barely 14. Smaller guy. Two more casts. Spoon's on fire. This is great. I was expecting like a pike or something, or maybe a pickerel, but more likely a pike in this pool. It's a swampy pool. I'm just burning this thing real fast. This is probably a pike. Feels a little too heavy to be a bass unless it's a real pig. Could be a walleye too, who knows. Just trying something a little different. Yep, it's a northern. That's awesome. Getting a nice variety today. I hooked right on the corner of the mouth there. That's what I was, man. See, that's what I was trying to say last night. Just little changes sometimes brings out the shy fish. This is a pretty big change, a jig to a spoon, but still, kind of the same idea. You really got to work a pool sometimes. At least with these small pools, I usually catch a handful of aggressive fish right off the bat. You know, like I'll have a general idea what I'm going to catch them on, and it'll usually happen like that. But then, every time after that, you got to really work it to get a There he goes. But you gotta really work it to get a shy fish out of there. Moved to this run. Jigging a brown and yellow bucktail jig. Third cast, got a fish. I felt a fish on the second cast. Real light short strike. I'll probably turn the camera on for a bit, just trying to save memory and battery for now. Little bass. Cool. It's a good sign. Once in a while they're stacked and I get like 80 of them here in a row, you know, or 70 something, jigging like this. See if we can do that again. Yep, one cast later, another fish. That's a really good sign. They might be stacked. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Pretty heavy current today too, so they're gonna be ripping and pulling, using that current to their advantage. It's fine with me though. Make for a fun fight. Yeah, slightly better one, 14.5 incher probably. Cool. Yep. And I'm pretty sure they're real stacked in here. This is awesome. You know, sometimes I'll jig real hard for bass, snap jig it like you do for walleye most of the time, but more often than not, I'll fish jigs for bass just by twitching them along, like real slow, so the jig just rolls through the mid-water column like that, and that'll work out really well, usually. And that current's making it extra hard though today. I had one pop off just a moment ago, a couple casts ago. This guy's like getting pulled in across the surface. What the heck? It's not fighting at all. What's his deal? Maybe I got walleye? I don't know why a smallie would just get dragged across the surface like that. No, it's a bass. He's just super lazy. That's a nice solid one. Decent, I guess. 16 incher, barely. I love bass this time of year because they all have eggs, or a lot of them have eggs, not all of them, but a lot of them have eggs and they're extra heavy. Oh, yep, there's one. Right when I let it fall for a moment. Awesome. I'm getting a fish every other cast right now. This is great. I've taken probably twice as many casts as I've gotten fish. This is pretty hot, I'd say. This guy's fighting like a smallie. They should be dogging it a little bit. I mean, especially with current like this. I've never seen a smallie just like coming across the surface like that. Or maybe I have, but not in a long time. Usually they don't do that. Man, this is great. This is great. There's 100 people stacked up in the spillway right now, all fighting for one walleye. And I'm down here and I'm about to slam the smallmouth. Oh. Nope, 13.5. Good deal. Fun fish. Gotta love smallmouth. Yep, there's one. One tough thing about this current, had two fish pop off so far. If you hook them by the skin of the lip, and they get in that current and they start ripping on you, it puts a lot of force on the hook, and it usually just rips right out of their skin. So you lose a couple fish that way when you're fighting them like this in the strong current, dragging them in. Man, this is awesome. I love being on a good bass bite. Nothing big, but you know, chunky mid-teens fish. Put up a decent fight still. This is like 13.5 again. There we go. Cool. Switch to a brown curly tail for a moment, just see if it would work the same. Sometimes they're killer too in these sort of conditions where the small smallies are stacked in a school. And if it does work the same, then I'll probably just switch to that because they're a lot cheaper when you snag them. I don't care as much about them. So far it's not crazy fast with the curly tail, but fish every 5 casts maybe, seems like. I think I'm thinning them out of this one pocket. I'll start walking back and forth. Yeah, it's like a 12, 13 incher. Just working that brown curly tail the same as I was with those bucktails. I don't think I'm going to get any big numbers today here, just because there's only a few hours before sunset. Those days I got 70 something here. It was more than one day of just bass plus other fish too. Some of those days were like 100 plus fish total, but those days that I got them here started out like this, you know, real hot action, but they also started out around sunrise, so I had a lot of time to rack up those numbers. Still, man, this is still a pretty hot bite. Classic size. Usually when I get into big numbers of smallmouth, they're all right around this size. And if I ever get big ones, they're usually loners, like in the middle of summer, the 20 inchers. Maybe it's just a decent one. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Yeah, just jump for a moment, you see a big head or something, but they're really not that big in the end. It'd be hard to judge them just on a glance. Switch back to the bucktail. It's working better. Yeah, he's chunky, but he's not that long. Looked like an 18 incher out there, but he's really just like a 16. Real fat though. Oh, he's probably 16 and a half, 17. Maybe 16 3/4, I'd say. Yeah. A little smaller than I thought, but pretty fat. There's like a pocket right there. This is where like 2 parts of the river go around an island. There's a little pocket where it gets deep right there. That's where they're hitting right now. I'm just trying to hit them from shore on this island before I walk in, spook them, and start casting further out. I probably overguessed that last one just by a little bit. I tend to overguess fat fish by a little bit and underguess skinny fish. I'm usually a really good guesser, but that was probably 16 1/4, 16 and a half actually, I would bet. More realistic guess. Still similar difference, whatever. I felt like a tiny one at first, but oh yeah, he's pretty small. Smaller than the last one. Man, gotta love spring smallies. They fight well, they're fat, pretty heavy for their length. Heaviest I get them all years right now. See all those eggs? For a heavy fish. No, he's about as long as the last one. He's a solid 16. Seemed way smaller coming in. Felt like a 12. Not too active, I guess. Nice, fat, good-looking bronze back. Cast past it and jig it on through it. that little dugout area. Yep. Ah, oh, man, love that tap. Feels just real close to a walleye tap, just a tiny bit softer, but still a real hard tap, and they suck it in. Man, that's beautiful. It's right there. It's right in that little pocket. I know that pocket. I've seen 20s get pulled out of there. It's a good pocket. They stack right up in it, and they'll stack up further too. There's a nice current break right there, but I want to fish a spot close to me first and try to not spook those fish by wading out and fishing there, so I'm fishing them sequentially. Yeah, these are solid ones, 16s. Usually when I get into numbers, it's not very many 16s and virtually no 18s or 20s. Usually it's just all 13s when I have a numbers day. That's pretty neat. Some mid-teens fish. We're not having a numbers day yet though, but this is how they start usually. Just lots of fish, lots of hits in a short amount of time. These are solid 15 and a half, 15 3/4 with eggs again, it looks like. Nice looking fish. Awesome. Just trying to cover this pretty thoroughly. Seems like it's getting a little slower, so I guess I'm thinning them out a little bit out of this particular little pocket. Then I'm going to start wading around up and down and out further and whatever and casting. A little smaller one. Maybe 14 inches or around there. I had a feeling they'd be in there. This whole thing is just a beautiful run, a bank run that's deeper on that side, but there's another little pocket right there where it gets extra deep. I figured they'd be hanging out in there. So I jigged it on through. Another respectable bass, 15 and a half probably, not as fat. Right in that little junction pocket. It's like a triangle. If there's one, there's probably more. Oh, not a fish. Oh, yep, fish. Just bumped it off a rock and this little guy ate it. Almost got snagged. That last one was really hard to unhook. I'm trying to show all the releases, but once in a while the hook really gets stuck in the membrane in their mouth and it takes a while to wrestle it out. You know, 13 and a half, 14 in that zone. Saw me and he swam off. Felt that. That was a soft hit, but it was still a nice hit. Just had one follow right up to me and see me and spook. That's a decent one. Cool. I'm liking this. It's not all 13 inches. Not bad. You know, they're not big ones, but they're still, you know, a lot better fighting than a bunch of 12, 13 inches. 16 inches put up a halfway decent fight at least in current. Pretty good deal. Just trying to you go. Nope, shoot. Oh yeah, that's a fat one, man. That's a nice, decent smallmouth there. Oh yeah. Probably barely the best one of the day. Super fat with eggs, but probably a solid 17, I'd say. Nice, decent smallmouth. There we go. Stacked up pretty good in that little triangle slack water there between the two flows coming in. They're all decent ones too. That's awesome. So used to having numbers days of all small fish. Like all the big smallies I get are like 1 to 3 fish days, or you know, at least in terms of the bass. You get some other fish too, but most of the time, like large majority of the time, when I get 18 to 20 inch smallies, it's just a handful of them, you know. But and when I get, you know, 70, 80 smallies, they're all 13 inchers. But this is like sort of how like a numbers day would start, like an 80 fish day, but they're all like, you know, most of these fish are like 15, 16 inches or so. That one was like 17, decent smallmouths, you know. But I guess if you fish enough, you'll see a little bit of everything eventually. Fishing has a way of surprising me over and over again. You think you know something, you really don't. It's been my experience, at least. A lot of secret patterns out there. These currents make it so hard to fight them. That's another decent one. Wow, 2 in a row. That one's real similar to the last one. Almost as much eggs, and probably solid 16 3/4. Nice fish. It's not quite as heavy. The other one was heavier. I'm losing a lot of bucktail jigs. Well, not a lot, like 5 of them, but that's a lot because I only have like 6 of them that color right now, the brown and yellow. So instead of using the last one up right away, I'm trying out some plastic, see if I can get something, a similar bite going. I got a Charlie Brewer slider on, paddle tail jig, 1/8 ounce, just kind of twitching it along like it was with the bucktails. This guy here on the first cast, a little 13 incher. Found where all my jigs are going. There's like a cut lumber log right in the middle of this. There's 2 of them. Moving around again, just kind of softly jigging that bucktail jig like I was earlier. Now that I'm back in the current, just kind of working it up and down, undulating in the mid-water column, or whatever you call it, like right in the middle between the surface and the ground. It's weird. Most of this run, it seems like dead water today. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's my impression of it. That's not normally the case when I'm getting them here and I'm getting up there. I'm usually getting them in between too, but not today. Today's just different for some reason. So the spots the fish are a little tighter means a little less fish, but that's all right. Just happy to catch anything. That's another small guy. 13 and a half. I love jigging like this a lot more than snap jigging in current, because I don't have to get near the bottom. I mean, you really don't with snap jigging either, but you have to time it just right every snap. This, you can just kind of, you have constant tension on the line. It's almost like fly fishing with a streamer. Like, you're just kind of wiggling the fly through the water, and you always have tension on it, and you always know you're above the ground. Listen, like real fast, heavy current like this, if you start casting upstream and snap jigging it, and you're touching the bottom every time, especially if you're whipping it way upstream and bringing it down, that's the easiest way to snag it. Particularly if you touch the ground upstream from you. somehow it just like sucks it in the cracks of those rocks. So when you snap it again, very often you get snagged. Yeah, I don't mind snapping in those slack waters though. That's what I was doing up there, but there wasn't any current up there where I was fishing. I just slipped in the water fighting this guy. Fell in. These rocks are so slippery, all covered with algae. I know I was near the bottom when I jigged this guy up. I don't know what he is though. He's fighting more like a... Oh, he's a bass, I think, right? Fighting more like a walleye though. Not fighting super hard. Yeah, he's just a little guy, man. He was fighting harder. 14 and a half maybe, 14. Cool. That's another smaller one probably. They're stacked right in that current break by that abutment a little bit. A couple of them just packed in there. Still just working this jig kind of like a streamer. In this run, in this section of the run at least. I was snapping it upstream, but up here I've been just kind of undulating it real slow. Slow as I can without touching the bottom. Yeah, it's just a little guy. Even the little guys feel big in the fast current. Yeah, it's like a 12-incher. Figure if I came back up here, there'd be a few more fish stacked up that I might have spooked before or something by catching the others. Looks like I was right, I guess. And try that little triangle again too. Another smallie. Little guy, 12-incher, or about that.